Well, hello, and thank you for joining the American Business Systems Wednesday webinar. We appreciate you joining us here. We're going to take a few minutes to let everybody get settled in and logged in and access to the audio and everything. And I can see some guests and attendees starting to trickle in. Cheryl, good to see you. Looking forward to reconnecting with you soon. Thanks for joining us today. While everybody's getting settled in, I'm going to put the controls for the Q&A panel up on the screen. And if you would be so kind as to drop a quick note in the Q&A panel so we know that the audio is working properly and that you're able to log in and everything's working properly, I would sure appreciate it. And we'll be starting here shortly. We're just going to give everybody the opportunity to jump in and get their audio working. Again, thanks for joining the American Business Systems Wednesday webinar. We'll get started here in just a few minutes. I can see some more attendees continuing to trickle in. Cheryl, thanks so much for letting us know that the audio is working properly. We sure do appreciate it. And thanks for taking some time out of your afternoon. Tommy joined us. Tommy, welcome to the webinar. We've got some others coming into the meeting room here. And again, I'll just say, for those of you who have not found your way to the Q&A panel, you can see with the graphic there, if you find the Q&A section, you can put a quick note to us if you would kindly let us know that the audio is working properly for you, that the slides are coming through and that everything's a-okay. And if you want to drop a quick note letting us know where you're dialing in from today, we'll give you a shout out to wherever you are here in the US or beyond. And I can still see some people trickling in here, so we're going to give just a minute or so more for folks to join us. These summer webinars can sometimes be tough to get. I know everybody's coming in and out of vacations, and we've got kiddos headed back to school here shortly. So sometimes these afternoon webinars are tough to attend. So again, we certainly appreciate you taking time out of your busy day and your schedules to learn more about our medical billing franchise. Janice, I see you joined us as well. Thanks for coming in, and we're glad to have you here. If you would find your way to the Q&A panel and put a quick note in there so we know that the audio is coming through properly, sure would appreciate it. Tommy, thanks for saying hello. Good afternoon to you as well. Glad to have you join us, and good to see you're here on the webinar. Looking forward to reconnecting with you soon as well, Tommy. So I will go ahead and jump in and introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. Some of you I've worked with extensively, but my name's Jason Pettit, and I am the Chief Growth Officer here at American Business Systems. Sometimes I get the question, what in the world is a Chief Growth Officer? Well, the title is a little bit general because I do a lot of things here at American Business Systems. I help people like you explore our business opportunity. I answer questions. I help try to determine if this is the right business for you. I also manage our sales team and work with our sales reps, and I'm also involved at the executive team level, helping with strategic decisions, and I work with the marketing sides of things and the website and the graphic design. So I wear a lot of hats. This is a family-owned and operated business, and everybody pitches in where their skill set can apply. So that's me, and a little bit about American Business Systems. Janice, I saw your note. Thanks for saying hello in there. Glad everything's working properly for you. So American Business Systems, we've been around a very, very long time. We've got 31 years in the industry helping people start successful medical billing businesses. This is just one of many accolades we've gotten over the years. For the last 4 years in a row, we've been in the top 100 game changers in the industry, according to Franchise Dictionary magazine. which is a great publication. If you haven't already run across Franchise Dictionary, you can go to franchisedictionary.com and get a free subscription. They'll deliver that to your inbox every single month. It's absolutely free. There's no obligation whatsoever. And we're good friends with Alicia. You see there on the cover. She runs a franchise consulting organization. It's the largest in the US, and she's an awesome person and is all about helping people start successful businesses. So check out Franchise Dictionary if you haven't already. And like I said, we've been doing this for 30 years. Our business model has everything that you need to start a successful medical billing business. This is a representation of some of the services that you can offer. But our business package includes, of course, training. We have a very fine-tuned training system that we'll put you through. Our training comes with a 30-day unconditional 100% money-back guarantee. We're the only franchise in the world with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Of course, we also include absolutely awesome support. We have a wonderful support team that will help make sure you're successful and be right by your side, very closely partnered with you to make sure that your questions get answered and that you're able to, especially in that first year of business, navigate getting your business established and getting clients and everything. And then as these boxes all indicate, you have 10 different services that you can offer to your physician clients. And we'll go into more detail as we start the Q&A here shortly. Most of you have probably made it to our main website. So this is the home page. And if you haven't already gotten a copy of our 5 Secrets to Medical Billing Success, that ebook is available for free. All you have to do is go to our main page, absystems.com. You can see the URL down there in the bottom right corner of the slide. And if you go to the very top of the website, there's a big blue button, download our 5 Secrets to Success. That'll give you immediate access. It'll email you the link to download and view that ebook. And it's a short one. It's really easy to plow through, but it's got some really great information about starting a business like this. We've had a few more people trickle in to attend the webinar today, so I want to throw another shout out to the Q&A panel. We are going to be taking questions live for about 45 minutes. And the way to get your questions to us, instead of turning everybody's microphones on and having absolute pandemonium, we take the questions over the messaging system in the Q&A panel. So if you can find in your Zoom controls, there should be a little Q&A tab there. If you click on it, you can ask a question and we will answer those questions live. And for those of you who already have some questions that maybe you haven't had answered as you've been exploring our concept, please feel free to go into the Q&A panel right now, start typing in questions, and we'll just get a big list of those queued up, ready to answer for you. So we'll get started with the questions here in just a few minutes, but if you already have them, please go ahead and drop them in there for us. We are also going to have an extra special co-host today on the webinar, our fearless leader, our CEO, Adam Phillips. Adam is a published author. He co-wrote the 9 Ways Doctors Let Money Slip Through Their Fingers book. This is actually also a marketing piece that you can use as you're growing your business. We'll talk a little more about that later. He co-wrote this book with Dr. Vicki Rackner, who's on our board of directors. It's a fantastic book, and it's written from the doctor's perspective and gives some tips and tricks of how to get their cash flow back in order, to plug those leaks in the cash flow. So it's an awesome book Adam co-wrote. And also, Adam is a published author, many magazine articles. Most recently, he's had an article on AI. I know everybody is very concerned about AI, and the robots are going to be taking over our lives any day now. And there's some really valid questions, not just with American business systems and with the medical billing industry, but also just generally speaking, what in 10 years, what are things going to look like? Adam wrote a great article with Billing and Coding Advantage magazine. And if you'd like a copy of that, you can feel free to shoot an email to your rep and they'd be happy to give you a copy of the article. But he's had many articles published there on BC Advantage, Billing and Coding Advantage magazine. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce our CEO, Adam Phillips. Adam, welcome.
Hello.
Thanks for joining.
Hey, thanks, Jason. Thanks for having me on here. Yeah, we've been talking about AI a lot. We were on a sales meeting today. We talked about AI. There's so many cool things going on with AI, and I would encourage everyone on this webinar to do as much study and research as you can. Play around with the AI tools. There's so many different tools out there. I've actually mentioned before on a webinar. I subscribe to this newsletter called the AI Report, and I get an email every day. And every single day, they're giving me news about new AI tools that do very specific things, and you can go in there and sign up for them, play around. It's really cool stuff that's happening, and I don't know where we're going to end up with it, but I think the people that choose to not learn about it are going to be kind of left in the dust at some point, I think. So.
I feel bad for the technically challenged folks that, have trouble with the buttons on their remote. Um, there's probably going to be a bit of a squeeze on the knowledge gap there in the
Yeah.
future. Yeah, AI is a great topic. There are already some AI tools in our industry that make doctors' lives easier and also can be really helpful for billing and coding. But what we're not seeing with AI in this industry is we're not seeing any kind of displacement. Um, the one exception would be transcriptionists. I'm not sure I would go into the medical transcription business at this point because that is very, very easy to do with AI.
Yeah.
But aside from that, it's pretty difficult for AI to do what a good medical biller or coder would do. And certainly we're nowhere close to AI replacing, doctors, actual live doctors and, that sort of thing. But some great topics. We'll dig into those more as we move along. And I want to call your attention again to the Q&A panel. If you would be so kind as to start dropping questions into the Q&A panel, we are going to start taking those live. And Tommy, thank you so much for dropping that in there. We're going to get to your question first. But for the rest of you attending today, please do find your way to that Q&A panel and start dropping some questions in. We're really looking forward to answering whatever you throw at us today. And there's no question too crazy or too dumb. Whatever you're thinking, whatever you want to know, you throw it at us. I've been in the industry for 17 years. Adam, I think, is it 20 years?
Yeah.
20 years, yeah. So, we've got a fair amount of experience. So let's play Stump the Chump today. Adam, do you want to take this first question from Tommy?
Yeah, sure. So Tommy asked a couple different questions, and we get this type of question a lot. He's asking, when investing with ABS, am I granted any form of exclusivity for my area of work? That's the first question. What policies are in place to prevent another person affiliated with ABS from operating in my same territory or market? That is an excellent question, Tommy. I'm glad you asked it. And so that's one of the top questions that we get is, is ABS a traditional franchise model or a business opportunity, or what's the deal? So we are not a traditional franchise model in a few ways, but in a lot of ways we are in terms of how we help you build your business and market and get clients. So when you go through our program, you become an independent business owner, truly. We help you set up your own independent entity, and you're operating under your own business name, your own company name, your own logo, your own brand. You do have several ABS branded services that you'll be marketing, like iClaim and some of the other stuff that you'll learn about. But how we're different is we do not have any territorial restrictions, and there's a really big reason for that, and I think you're going to like it. The reason for that is uh, most of our owners, when they start signing up doctors, clients in their area, their neighborhood, their local area, almost always, if you do a good job for those clients, you're going to get business through referrals. And we talk a lot about that in the training, how to focus on getting business through networking and referrals and things like that. But if you look at any of our interviews with our business owners on YouTube, almost all of them without fail will say, yeah, I got a bunch of clients from my, referrals from my existing clients, and they can be in any part of the United States. All of our systems are cloud-based and they work over the internet. So you don't have to be located in any certain area. Your clients can be anywhere in the United States. And so, you really have a huge, huge market in the fact that you can have clients anywhere that you want to. So, with the question as far as like policies in place, or, am I ever going to run into another ABS owner, operating in my area? The chances of that happening are slim and none. I can tell you right now, Tommy, because we only have about what is it, 450 business owners that we consider
Yeah.
actively marketing for new business. Of course, we have more business owners than that, but the ones that are actively, looking for new clients, there's about 450, and that's covering the entire United States. So really, I think in my opinion, the bigger question would be, well, what kind of competition as far as other billing companies and stuff are in my area? And I would recommend, if you haven't done that, you should do a Google search, medical billing companies in my area. Type in your zip code or city or whatever, and you'll find a lot of results, as you will in almost any, decent sized city. But as you start clicking around on those results, you will very quickly see crummy looking websites, phone numbers that don't work anymore. You'll see a lot of companies that just offer a billing service alone, and they don't have any of the other products and services like what we can do, or what you'll be able to do. So, with the fact that we give you a very professional looking website, very professional looking marketing materials that we spent a bunch of money designing, you really are going to stand out and separate yourself from any of those other, smaller competitors. So I talked a lot, so hopefully that helps.
Covered a lot of ground. Yeah, Tommy, thanks for the question. That's a good one. I'll add just one more point on there. We have never a single time in our 31-year history had two owners grappling over the same physician client. Never, not once. So we feel that we are nowhere close to a level of saturation where we would even have interactions between two owners. It's just simply never happened. And that actually makes sense if you think about it, because in most major markets, there's thousands of doctors. I mean, the market potential is vast. And we've just never had an issue, not a single one. And like Adam said, it's really important to our business model that when you do a good job for a client, and that doctor refers you to another doctor, that is your client. That is your referral. We're not going to make you do a, split revenue with someone else in a different territory. And there's nothing wrong with the traditional franchise model. For a lot of industries, it makes sense. But for our industry, since it's almost entirely referral based as you grow your business, it just doesn't work. We would just end up, having to constantly work with people in different territories to make everybody happy. So never been an issue, and it gives you full open market to the entire U.S. That's also a great thing if you want to move your location. If your home base is in Dallas, like where we are, and if you want to move to Orlando, you keep your clients in Dallas or wherever. You move to Orlando, you keep building your business in Orlando. Great, no problem. So we feel that flexibility is a really important part of our model. And like I said, some franchises, more conventional type industries, the territorial model does work very well, especially for things like retail, where you have an actual brick and mortar location. Obviously, a territory is super important with that. With our model, no problem. But thank you for the question, Tommy. Hope that was helpful to everybody on the webinar today. We've got Francisco asking about leads and help with sales and marketing. And I'd love to jump into that one and chat a little bit about how we help our owners get clients. That is a great question. So Francisco, we do not provide leads in the conventional sense. With a lot of different industries, uh, leads are generated online, sometimes through social media ads, sometimes through Google pay-per-click or AdWords, through SEO optimization, through landing pages. And in some cases, you can even buy lead lists from companies that are lead generation companies. Other industries that can work pretty well for growing a business. In this industry, this is a networking and referral based industry. When doctors need help with these kinds of services, for the most part, they are not going online and filling out a form saying, please help me with my medical billing service. You know, what is the best medical billing service in my area? That's just not how typically doctors are finding these services. What they are doing is they're asking their trusted advisors, their CPAs and attorneys, they're asking other physicians at association meetings and, you know, at the country club, on the golf course. They're talking with their office managers and asking their office managers if they know any other office managers that have, you know, connections with good billing companies, or depending on what their needs are for these types of revenue cycle services. And it's referral based. So what we've discovered over 3 decades in the industry is we can give you a pile of leads if you want. Leads are
Hmm.
cheap, they're easy to get. We can get you verified appointments, but you're not going to love when you start working those leads. They are tough. If you have 1 out of 100 people even respond to you, you're doing pretty good. These are uh, bottom of the barrel, you know, type leads in most cases. And
Hmm.
even the people who respond with those leads oftentimes are not good candidates for these kinds of services. It is a lead, it is a person, uh, but they're just not what your ideal customer is. So, what do we do instead? We teach you how to network and how to find referral partners to introduce you to the ideal types of clients that you want to aim for. So, what is an ideal client? In our world, we have about 30 types of specialty medicine that are the best types of doctors to get as clients. The reason that they're the best is because you make the most money. So you're going to have more income, and the doctors have the strongest benefits from our systems and services. So if you're matching up those two kind of win-win scenarios, it just makes for a much easier time at getting clients. So there's a couple of different ways that we recommend doing this. A lot of our owners have had great success with networking groups. So joining professional networking groups in your local market, you're working with other professionals. They have physicians who are clients of theirs. And since you offer these cash flow solutions to doctors, your referral partners at these networking groups can introduce you to their physicians who need these kinds of services. One of the reasons this works so well is because of what we actually can do for these doctors. We're not begging for business. What our owners do is they help the doctors make more money. In fact, most doctors increase their revenue 20 to 30% using the services of our owners. I was talking with one of our trainers a few years ago, and we were just talking about what kind of results that she gets with her clients. And she told me she's been doing this for over 10 years. She said, I have never given a proposal to a potential client that was less than a six-figure increase in year one in revenue for them. I'll say it again because it was crazy, and I made her repeat it to me because I couldn't believe it. She said she has never given a proposal that showed less than a six-figure increase in revenue to a potential client. So that's what we're doing for doctors. So now go back to this referral partner networking group method of marketing. Your referral partner, you know, they ask you at a networking group, what do you do? Do you say, oh, I have a medical billing company, I file claims? Oh, that's great. I'll circle back to you when I need a claim filed. Who cares? Instead, if you say, well, I'm part of the nation's largest network of certified medical revenue management companies, and I specialize in helping doctors make more money. Within 90 days, most doctors I work with increase their medical practice revenue 20 to 30%. Do you have any doctors you know that would want to make 20 to 30% more cash flow? And your CPA or attorney or real estate agent would say, "Oh my gosh, I've got a good friend who's a physician. I'll make the introduction." If you can put 20% in their pocket, they'd think I was the greatest thing ever given that referral. That's how it's done. Another way to do this, it's like that networking style on steroids, is using professional medical sales reps. So think about pharmaceutical reps, medical device reps, even medical consultants. We show you how to find them, and we teach you how to use basically that same verbiage that I just said to get introduced to the physician clients that they already have working relationships with. The benefit of using a sales rep is they are compensated. You're going to have a commission agreement with them. So if they refer you to a doctor that turns into a client, you're going to pay them a small commission. But they can be much more granular on what you're looking for in a client. So you can try to find, for instance, a cardiology pharmaceutical rep or medical device rep who works exclusively with cardiologists. Cardiology is our number one medicine type or specialty medicine type as far as clients go. Cardiologists are awesome clients to get. They make a ton of money. So you work with a cardiology sales rep, they introduce you to cardiologists. Those cardiologists are going to make an incredible increase in revenue, and that's what drives the business. So we teach you how to do this. Those are we teach 10 different marketing strategies, but those are two of the ones that most of our owners have the quickest success with. We can go into more detail, contact your ABS rep, and they'd be happy to do a deeper dive on this. We've actually done full webinars just on sales and marketing processes, but thank you for your question, Francisco. A really good one. And Adam, anything to add to that? Did I miss any of the? I'd rambled for quite a while, so hopefully I didn't miss too much.
I mean, the main thing to realize is the reason why we do it the way we do it kind of just boils down to credibility and trust. And the quickest way to get some kind of credibility from a doctor or an office manager is to have someone that they know refer you to them. And the way to do that is through networking at different events, like Jason mentioned, where you meet somebody, you build a relationship with somebody, and that person can put you in touch with doctors that they know. That's the key point right there, because if a doctor, gets some sort of referral, hey, I talked to this guy at a networking event, he does billing and revenue cycle and blah, blah, blah. That already puts you well above anybody that's going to come cold call and try to knock on that doctor's door and sell them something. So that's why we do it the way we do it. So we got a question from Connie here and a follow-up here. Likewise, will I have any competition from medical practices if they license the same SaaS medical billing software directly? So there's a couple of questions about software, SaaS software, a couple of questions about our competitors. And that's what some of our competitors do, is they get people hung up on software and selling software, and because that's how they make their money. They charge the business owners themselves, for additional user seats and updates and you got to do your own backups, and they tell you that it's SaaS, but it's really not. You can purchase a server and rent it, and you got to set up your own access to it, and it's very much not a true SaaS system. So we can go into that, if you want, but there's really not, you're really not selling software at all. So do you have any thoughts on how to address that particular question from Connie?
Yeah. So first of all, we have 4 different software partners. So right off the bat, the scope is a little wider than the question that we've got from Connie. So we have 4 different partners. Our main partner we're really proud of is a company called NextGen. We're partnered with the NextGen Office platform. So our system, iClaim, is a white labeled version of NextGen's NGO platform. And that is something that we feel is a bit of a superpower for us. We're punching way above our weight class with that system, to be frank. And so if you were to run into a physician office that was already using that system, and that is theoretically possible, and I think that may have happened a couple of times in our 30 years, that's actually a perfectly awesome scenario because usually, if the physician is using that system in their office, they are not using all the features uh, to the maximum benefit. So our owner gets to step in, and there's no implementation. There's no discussion about the software. There's no changes that have to be made. Our owner just steps in and helps them get everything dialed in to get the maximum results. So it's actually it's an almost better situation if you find a physician who's using the system. It has happened a couple of times, but it's not a negative in any way. Um, so that would be the easiest answer to the SaaS question. Is it's just simply not a problem if somebody's already using it. And then the follow-up question about our competitor, which system is better? Both systems are going to get you from point A to point B, which is established company and clients, at least, in theory. uh, Both of our models are very, very similar. Here are the exceptions. We have a 30-day unconditional 100% money back guarantee. Our investment is $30,000. That's all in total investment. You will never pay us a dime after that 30,000. Our competitor has 2 or 3 different investment levels, depending on what day of the week you click on their website or which of the reps you're talking to. Your investment will be somewhere between 31,000 and 55,000, depending on what you're able to haggle with them. The only investment package they have that compares to ours directly is their $55,000 package. So right off the bat, you're spending $25,000 more to get their system. I actually am working with an individual that I was talking to last year, and he was comparing us to our competitor, and we went back and forth. He was a really nice guy. They gave him a dramatic discount off of their lowest package to get him to invest with them. And a few weeks ago, he circled back with me and he said, I made a big mistake. I made the investment with your competitor, and it's not at all what I expected. Every single time I turn around, they're trying to get me to give them more money for a module that was not in my investment tier. I wanted to offer this service that I thought was included, but it's not. And he is going through the process. He spent all of his money with our competitor, so he's going through the process to get the funds to invest with us and get its business started properly. For us, that's a big deal. I mean, we take this very seriously. That's why we have a 30-day guarantee. What I always like to say is, you can invest with us, go through the training, and if you're not super excited and confident that you made the right decision, you can get a refund of the 30K and you can carry that over to our competitor. We do not stop you from doing that. You would get our training and their training. Just remember, you're going to have to add another 25,000 on top of the 30,000. So, if you make that decision. So it's a good question. We certainly welcome competition in the industry. If there's no competition in the industry, there's not an industry. So it's good to have competitors. We feel like we have a really strong offering. There's all kinds of more detailed comparisons with our competitor that we could go into. We have a very lengthy document that goes into, all the granular, features and benefits differences. Reach out to your rep. They'd be happy to supply you with that document and have a call, doing a deep dive on it. At the end of the day, we're not going to disparage competition. We're not going to say that, their system doesn't work. We're not going to fearmonger. If you feel compelled that they're the right partner for you, we wish you all the best. We hope you have as much success as you can possibly handle. But we feel pretty good about what we're offering, and that's why we have a guarantee and our competitor does not. So try us, see how it feels. We're pretty confident that you're not going to ask for a refund. We have developed our training and support and our business model over 3 decades. We we're pretty confident you're going to be super excited when you finish your training.
I did have a couple more thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Connie, just to keep going on this topic a little bit longer. We don't teach you to try to force doctors into any kind of software at all. I mean, we have four different platforms, like Jason mentioned, and we do demonstrations of the platforms. We help you figure out which one makes the most sense for every scenario, every practice, every doctor. And we do the demos, and we have pros that, they do demos all day long. So they're awesome demos, and they get the doctors really excited about the systems. That being said, you take them through this whole sales process that we teach you and help you with. You're going to have doctors that are going to say, I would like to work with you, but I just don't want to change systems. Can you do my billing anyway? And the answer is yes. Like, I will do your billing no matter what you have. So we have business owners that are using, two or three different systems. Our support team can help you with not every single system out there, but like the top 10 that doctors have. And all those companies have their own training libraries, and it's pretty easy to get up to speed on most of the systems out there. So you should never try to, force a doctor into a platform if they're not ready to, or they just don't want to, so you can tell them, hey, look, I can use your system. I'll get in there, I'll learn it, and I'll still be able to do a better job than what you're doing now. The final thought on that also that I did want to touch on is softwareadvice.com. So Connie, I don't know who your ABS rep is, but we can email you links to softwareadvice.com, where you can go and actually look at user reviews for all of our platforms and our competitors' platform. And the reviews just blow away our competitors. Like, there's hardly any reviews at all for our competitor. And like the next gen platform has thousands of reviews, 4-star, 5-star reviews. So very highly rated and reviewed over our competitor stuff. So there I'm done with
we really didn't go into a software comparison because there's so much that we could talk about. The guy I mentioned that I was talking to that is, our competitors, he invested with our competitors, and now he's scraping his money together to invest with us. He said this, not me. He said that when he boots up their software, it takes 10 minutes before he can do anything with it. Now, that could be something related to his system. I have not personally experienced that. I'm just saying that's what he said.
Because it's CD based, that it's installed on his hard drive.
It's an actual application on the
desktop. It was a system built in 1995 that they've patched together ever since. So anyway.
Yeah, we don't want to disparage. It works. You can file claims on it. All good. If you do a demo of our system and a demo of their system and you think there's a superior, again, best of luck to you. We wish you all the best. But
as long as you have Windows 95, you'll
yeah. Easy. Easy. Yeah.
Okay, so I got the impression that the system would require updates and hard code updates. That's right. Their system, you have to buy for updates. You have to install them yourself. It's like the old school model, where our system is updated every single night behind the scenes. Every morning when you log in, every morning when the doctors log in, you have the latest, greatest version of the system, the updates, the medical codes, everything is taken care of for you, and the backups.
It's a world-class system that's backed by one of the top 3 health information technology companies in the world. NextGen has $1 billion market cap on the stock exchange. I mean, we are blessed to be with a partner at that caliber. I'm not going to tell the whole story of how it happened, but to be honest, we got lucky. They're just way above our class. So we're not sort of tooting our own horn. We're very fortunate to have a partner like that.
We're classy.
Yeah. I mean, we deserve it. Yeah. Get no respect. Tommy's got a great question here. He's using the F word though, failure. How many investors have left the ABS network or failed in the last 3 years? What were the primary reasons for their departure? That's a great question. In the franchise world, we don't use the F word, failure. In the franchise world, you say dropout. Isn't that a nicer way to say it? But this is real life, and these are real businesses, and the concept that every single person that has 30,000 would be successful in a business like this is preposterous. And if we were telling anybody that there's a 100% success rate, you would know that that's nonsense. It's just not the way the business world works. Now, we are extremely passionate about making sure that our owners are successful, and we will tear ourselves apart trying to make sure that your company is successful. It's structured properly and operational, and then you get clients as quickly as possible. But the reality is, we sometimes have people invest that it's like pushing a rope up a hill. You just cannot get some individuals to follow a process. Um, so if you want to talk failure rate, or what the franchise world would call dropout rate in the franchise industry, if a franchisor is being transparent, they'll usually tell you that their dropout rate is between 5 to 10%. If any franchisor tells you their success rate is 100%, it's nonsense and you should run in the opposite direction. It's not possible. You will have people with money to invest that cannot make a business work. It's just reality. So our dropout rate is going to be in the same range, somewhere in the 5% range. We're not a conventional franchisor, so we don't get reporting. There's no financial reporting of any kind from our owners. So all we have is the anecdotal information that our owners share with us. We can see our owners who are accessing our support site. We of course we monitor unique IP addresses that access our support site. So we have a pretty good number on that. And then our support team helps with proposals and contracts. And, of course, when somebody, especially when you're first starting your business, when you get a signed billing service agreement and you get your first client, I mean, you're shouting it from the rooftops and you're telling our support team and you're so excited. So we have a really good sense of, when somebody gets their first client. So based on kind of, deductive reasoning, we can back into a number of, those types of successes compared to the handful of people that we get that just struggle because they're just not well suited for a business like this. And we do have people struggle from time to time. We do everything we can to help them. But if you cannot follow processes, you probably should not consider starting a business like this, or any franchise type business. You have to be able to follow the processes that we've outlined. We know how to do this. We have 3 decades of experience. If you can follow a process, you can duplicate the success. That is the whole idea behind a franchise. McDonald's, if you want to start a hamburger restaurant, you invest in McDonald's because they crack the code. Everything from how much salt to put on a single French fry, they've got a spreadsheet for that. And so, going in, you have a very high level of certainty that you can be successful because you're taking a model and you're copying it and you're following those processes exactly. If you had a McDonald's restaurant and you just abandon all the processes, well, first of all, they'd sue you into oblivion. But the amount of time you spent making changes before they caught you, your business would take a nosedive because the processes are in place for a reason. We're the same way. We just don't force you to use our processes. If you want to go off the path, and we had a guy one time, he took out a billboard on the side of the road. Okay, buddy. Good job, I guess. But, he didn't get a single call and he was upset. So, uh, anyway, about a 5% dropout rate. If you fall into the category of someone that is really going to struggle in this business, just rest assured you have a fantastic team that's going to be right by your side. We're going to do everything we can to help you. Anyone who has wanted to succeed and has put in the time and effort to learn the right processes and is coachable has been successful in this business. When we have failures, it's because somebody just refuses to follow process, and period.
Yeah. And as far as primary reasons, Jason mentioned people that can't follow the processes and whatnot, but there are also people that have unrealistic goals. They think to themselves, oh, well, I'm going to get, 3 clients in my first month of business. That's not necessarily reality. We can share some of that information with you as well. It typically takes someone, if they're going at it full time, it takes someone, a good 3 months maybe to get their first client. There are interviews with our owners on YouTube that will say straight up, "Hey, it took me, 6 months to get my first client,"
Yeah.
and that's typically because they were doing it. Maybe they had another job that they couldn't quit right away, so they were having to kind of do some marketing here and there and in between. The good news is a lot of the marketing that we teach does work around a busy schedule, so as far as networking events, early morning breakfast, luncheons, things in the evenings, weekends. So it can work around a busy schedule. You can make it work. It just might take you a little bit longer to get those first couple of clients. So we had another question come in here from Francisco. I'm not quite sure about that particular percentage. Seems a bit
Yeah.
high to
I,
me.
I'm not sure that that percentage, I don't think that's saying 80% of doctors are employed by hospitals. I think that's saying 80% employed by hospitals moved from independent practices. So they're interviewing hospitalists, physicians who were in, a part of a hospital or, healthcare network.
There, there's no
Yeah.
denying that there has been a shift. And there have been doctors that have been leaving private practice because it's so tough for them to run a business because they don't think of their practice as a business, and that's why. So they have been going and working for hospitals. There is recently been a trend in the other direction, and I can send you some links. I'd have to go back and
Yeah.
find them, but there are some trends showing that there are a lot of doctors that have gotten fed up being treated like an employee, and they have their hours and wages dictated to them. Their standard of care, they have to follow exactly what the hospital says to do, and they really just don't. They're not having a good time. And so they're starting to, realize, hey, you know what? If we got enough doctors here who could leave this hospital system, we could form our own private group. Those doctors do look for outsourced, billing services as well. So that could be a potential market for you. So it's a trend going in both directions. Um, any additional?
Yeah. So there's one thing that a lot of times people don't think about. Uh, Think about large organizations, right? So think about large health insurance companies, think about large hospitals and hospital networks. These are billion-dollar companies, right? These are huge conglomerates. And the goal of these companies is profitability to the shareholders. How can they make another quarter more profitable than the previous quarter? That's literally, they get down to where they're basically just working for the shareholders to make money. And so oftentimes the way that these things shake out is a hospital network will go into a market and they'll say, well, we're going to buy up all these medical practices and just poach all the talent. And so they will go into a market and they will make ridiculous salary offers to these physicians to buy out their independent practices. And some doctors will jump at that because it sounds pretty good, right? Hey, you're going to make more than you were making in your private practice, and we'll handle all the back end, the billing and all the, record keeping and all that kind of stuff. Oh, that sounds like a great deal. So the doctors will jump, they'll become a part of the network. What happens at that point is the hospital owns the medical practice. In particular, they own the patient database. So the clients of, the patient clients of that doctor become not this independent owner anymore. Now those records are owned by the hospital. Those patients slash customers are owned by the hospital. And so the doctor says, well, not a big deal. I know I worked for 10 years to grow this medical practice, or 20 or however long, and they start working for this hospital. And then their contract renewal rolls around a year or two later. And the hospital network says, yeah, we're going to go ahead and cut your contract in half and pay you half of what we were paying you. And the doctor's like, well, what do you mean? You can't, that goes, and doesn't matter. What are you going to do? Sue a hospital conglomerate? And so they get their income chopped in half. Now they're making less than they were when they had a private medical practice. But the sad news is they lost their customer base. So if they want to jump ship, now they're stuck because all of their patients are now the hospital's patients, not theirs. So if they want to get out of that and go back to private practice, they have to start all over again. So it's a brutal method of acquisition that these companies are using, and doctors are getting smarter about it. So I always like to present that it's a bit of a revolving door. You have doctors being scooped up with these insane offers from these healthcare conglomerates, but you also have doctors coming back out of that system, starting or restarting private practices. Hope that helps.
Yeah, and I don't know if you touched on his last question there. How would you recommend to work with entities as it is always difficult to find a decision maker? Well, Francisco, the short answer is we don't. We don't teach you to work with entities. So we actually teach you that your target market in the beginning is the really small to medium sized private practices. So we tell people 10 doctors in a group, and that's kind of stretching it in my opinion. 10 doctors or less in a private practice is really where you want to target in the beginning, because they have all kinds of issues and struggles. They're just easier clients to land. You don't have to try to find a decision maker. You know who the decision maker is right away. It's either the doctor or the office manager. That's it. So at some point when you build up your business and you build up your client base, you'll have entities coming to you. That's what you want. You want entities coming to you saying, "Hey, we know that you're doing billing for these other practices, and we want the same deal they got." We hear that happen a lot. So it's kind of the reverse of what you were saying there, as far as what we recommend you target in the beginning.
I'm going to add one quick blip to that. We do occasionally have an owner land an absolutely massive client. We have one owner in Northern California with a 97 doctor group practice as a client. So it's not impossible to get those kinds of clients. It's just that's not what we're teaching you to target, because it's a difficult sales process with a huge, a lot of times those are physician owned. You'll have multiple physicians that own the group. And sometimes you'll have a venture capital or, an investment group that'll own the hospital group, and those, not the hospital, the private practice group. So those can be tough to market to, but it's not out of the question. You can sometimes get a way in through referral partners, and you can land a massive client. That 97 doctor group practice, that generated 6 figures of income per month to our ABS owner. She was making 6 figures per month with that client. She's retired from the business, but she made a pile of money. We probably have time to take this one last question from Tommy, and then we're going to need to wrap up the webinar. A lot of great questions today. Thank you to everyone for joining us. Tommy, I'll take this question. Thanks for your participation today. We really appreciate all the good interaction. Tommy's question is, what is the average client retention rate across the network? What are the most common reasons a medical practice leaves an ABS provider? The most common reason that our owners would lose a client is the doctor retires. That's the most common reason.
I was going to say retires or dies. Yeah. That's all that we hear.
Retires or dies. In most cases, these are clients for life. Remember, what we're doing for doctors is we are helping them increase their revenue, usually 20 to 30%. When you do that, you're impervious to other companies coming in and saying, "Oh, we'll reduce your costs by 1%. Who cares? My revenue went up 20%. I don't care about your 1% cost reduction. So we're impervious to being displaced in that regard. So our client retention, it's not 100%, because from time to time, you'll hear of an issue or something like that. But it's extraordinarily high. I mean, you can maybe answer this better than I can. I cannot think of a scenario where one of our owners lost a client just based on, competitor coming in or, some other kind of issue.
No,
I'm racking my brain trying to think of it, but I can't. I know it's probably happened, but I just can't think of a scenario.
No, it basically never happens. I can't think of the last time I've heard of it happening.
Yeah. These doctors stick around. I mean, they do not want to lose that improved revenue, and we help them clean up their operations. They do not want to give that up. They want to keep that.
They love if they do use our systems, they love the systems, they love the technologies. But even if you're using their existing system, if you're providing excellent customer service, That's key. If you tell the doctor, look, I'm the owner of this business. Here's my cell phone. If you have a problem, I'm going to solve it. And I'm in your neighborhood. I mean,
Yeah.
that speaks volumes, because, they hate the companies where they feel like another support ticket lost in a giant barrel, So that's another thing is the personal touch. If you give them a personal touch, check in with them,
Yeah.
that
This
goes a long way.
this is kind of tangential to the topic, but um, sometimes our owners voluntarily get rid of a client. You're like, why
Mhm.
in the world would you get rid of a client? Well, occasionally you can get into a billing client scenario where the billing client is more work than the profitability can be justified with, right? So if you've got a smaller client and you're generating, you know, $2,000 a month of income from that client, but that client cost you 4 hours of headaches every day, that is not a good ratio of income to operational workload. So we do sometimes have owners who will actually sell off a client that is a lower producing, lower income client, but maybe a higher headache factor. That does happen.
Yeah, they get rid of the jerks.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you said it a little more precisely than I did. Yeah, occasionally you'll have somebody who's, not fun to work with. That brings us to the end of the last question. Tommy, thanks again for your participation. Easy for me to say. And we'll just do a couple more quick housekeeping things and wrap up for today. First of all, we do have formal due diligence steps that we like everybody to go through. We want to make sure this is a good fit for you just as much as you do. So these boxes here represent each of the due diligence tools that we have for you. We have a 65-page research guide. If you don't know what that is, if you haven't seen it, send an email to your rep. They'll get the research guide to you. We wrote that guide to answer every question anyone's ever asked us. It's pretty good. We have an awesome YouTube channel. Every Wednesday, we do these live webinars. We record them, we put them on our YouTube channel. There are hundreds and hundreds, I guess probably thousands of videos at this point. So you can go to our YouTube and you will never run out of videos. I don't think it's even possible at this point that in a lifetime somebody could probably watch all those. We also provide an absolutely wonderful reference list. We have some great owners who were very excited about their success and said, "Hey, what can I do to pay it forward to American Business Systems?" And of course, we say, "Can you get on a webinar and talk about your experience? And can you answer the phone and answer questions from people looking into the business?" So if you don't have a reference list, email your rep. If you don't know who your rep is, find any email from us and respond and just say, "Hey, who's my rep?" And we'll get you taken care of. But get a reference list, reach out to some of our owners. We do also offer a live software demo of the iClaim system. We talked a lot about software today. If you haven't seen a demo, I'd highly recommend it. Again, email your rep. They'll set up a live demo for you over Zoom. And if you're ready, if you're right there at the doorstep and you've done your due diligence steps and you're ready to get rocking and rolling, we have a 6-page purchase agreement. It's very plainly written. You can fill it out in a couple of minutes. And then we will get your funding squared away where we basically accept any payment method you could possibly imagine. Even Bitcoin. If there's anybody on the webinar today that has a pile of Bitcoin, maybe you invested in 2017 and you're one of the Bitcoin whales, we'd accept that as well. But we'd be happy to help if you're at that point.